by Georgia Tech quarterback Haynes King, former Longview Lobo, who's going to be at the Manning Passing Academy. He joins us now on 365 Sports. Haynes, thank you very much. I know you just came out of kind of a team meeting, kind of whatever it is. You're about to be at the Passing Academy. What's it like to be invited to be a part of it? And also just your thoughts about the next few days.
I mean, it's always a blessing to be a part of something like that, and to be around guys such as like a big name like the Mannings is pretty remarkable, and to the exposure that you get from there and what you learn and the details that you can add to your game it's a blessing to be a part of that.
I asked you this, I believe it was yesterday, when you were at Longview, and then also early on with, of course, at A&M and then Georgia Tech. Were you ever invited? Did you ever go to that camp?
I was never invited to be an ambassador or a counselor, but when I was younger, I believe around middle school, I went to the camp and participated as a little kid.
What was that like?
It was fun, just being around coaches at that caliber, and then also being around like some of the college guys. I believe one year Lamar Jackson was my little team 7-on-7 coach at one of those, and it was fun being around guys like that, just how they operate, how they carry themselves, and see it done at a high level, and like it's just fun. It was a blast, and it was also hot. I tell you that.
Haynes, I don't know if you've already proposed this, but you would be an expert on it. I know it's the Manning Passing Academy, but you could give a symposium on how to win football games as a quarterback when you can't physically pass. How in the world did you do that last year?
I mean, all props to God and I guess the way my parents raised me, just with how I'm wired and the toughness and the grit and trying to find ways to win and move the ball and, whatever's necessary to win. And that's just what I do and who I am.
Toughness and grit. Those are absolutely at least a couple of the words I would use to describe you. And that's the way you were when you were started young, as an underclassman at Longview, and the way you were at A&M, and the way you were. I think watching you play is motivational. Has anyone ever said that to you? And I know in you're not going to let an ego get in the way, but has anyone ever talked about that with you?
I'd say a couple times. But like you said, I never try to let it get to my head and just keep grinding and put my head down. And like I said, do whatever's necessary to help the team out.
So what is on the agenda? I know I've watched some, different features on the Manning Passing Academy. I understand all of that. A lot of the people who have been there. What do you expect to do? What is your schedule?
I've kind of glanced at it, not too, honed in on the schedule just yet, because we've been having this week of workouts as well, finishing up on the first half of summer workouts and summer practices with my team. So I hadn't really looked at it, but it's going to be a lot of, we're going to have a couple workouts, throwing sessions with the Mannings, a couple of, times where you just social events, stuff like that. And then also like coaching these kids and just giving the knowledge that we already know to them and getting everybody better around us.
Haynes King with us on 365 Sports. Paul?
Haynes, you had a journey at A&M, a place that you obviously really wanted to be when you went there, and then it just didn't work out for, a multitude of reasons, none of which were your fault at all. And then you found a spot at Georgia Tech that I'm sure a lot of people were when you went there kind of like, oh, okay, they've been kind of struggling, but you and Brent Key at the same time kind of intersecting at the beginning of this run of his seemed to be kind of a perfect match. Why do you guys click so well together, and why does that team under him with you guys click so well and so quickly?
One of the big factors on what I was looking for in school when I was in the portal was, like-minded guys, want to do things the right way, wired the same way, and things like that. Because if you surround yourself with people and with that in mind and how they're wired, like, you're going to be successful. You're going to find ways to be successful. And I mean, he's kind of wired a lot like my dad as well. So that's a big plus. So, we know how to handle each other. We push each other. And, I can tell you this, it wasn't just me and him that clicked. It was this whole building from top down, whether it's strength staff, nutrition, athletic training, whatever it is. But, we found a way to get it on board. And, now we're focused on trying to make these next big steps in the off season, getting ready for the season.
Haynes, I'm not sure if somebody who's played as much football as you have is ever like 100% free of aches and pains, but man, you obviously were dealing with a lot. Were you able to wake up at times this offseason and just feel good for the first time in a while? And what was that feeling like?
I've definitely done that a couple of times, for sure. More closer to now than early on in the off season.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's been good, and just this journey to get back healthy and doing all that, it's been a journey, and I'd like to thank God, thank my parents, and like I said before, thank all the coaches and the staff that's in this building to help with that.
We know that your mother was a better athlete than your father. And he's even admitted that too. But obviously she was very competitive. But I've known your dad from the time he was an assistant coach coming in from Louisiana at Longview High School. What was the most intense moment you could ever remember from your father at Longview High School?
We've had a bunch, and my tenure there, I was going to be the example a couple times. I'm not going to get too specific, but he's probably done a couple things that he probably shouldn't have, or made me go, touch the light pole during practice, stuff like that. But I'd say majority of it was during practice and the preparation throughout the week, and that's the most important, especially during the season. And then, hell, when you get to game time, it's just you're playing and having fun and letting it loose and, doing what you've prepared all week to do.
Yeah, with making an example, because if he's going to say or do whatever that was with his son, then everybody else on the team would gain respect if he ever said anything to them, whether it's what he said to you or not, right?
Oh, for sure. For sure.
So, Brent Key, John King, who's the most intense of those two? Because you kind of talked about both of them being similar.
No comment on that.
He's not done dealing with either one of them.
No, that's exactly right. Yeah,
Haynes. And I hate to bring up a game that was a loss, but the best high school game the three of us have ever done was you guys in Midway in the rain at Allen in 2017. After that game, you guys didn't lose again. But that was the crazy game. What do you remember? What comes to you about that game? And does it still, every loss kind of sticks in your craw? Where does that one rank among losses you had that stick in your craw?
It definitely ranks up there just because, being one of the first ones, first big losses, and you're so close being in the semifinals that year. But I do remember it was really, really cold, and I was really, really sick. But, no excuses on that. We just didn't get the job done and didn't find ways to get more points than they did. But like I said earlier, that definitely sticks. Just it being like one of those pivotal points in my high school career, even though it happened a long, long time ago.
Yeah, and we were at that game. We broadcast the game. Craig, it was called, right? You were on the sideline for that. Were you not there? Midway in Longview? Yeah, that's what I thought. He remembers he was on the sideline doing that game. Then you ran the table 16-0. When you when it counted down to 0, I remember your father giving you this massive bear hug and vice versa. What was that moment like for you two?
I mean, it was special. I've always been in Longview my whole life. Growing up, whether I'm in the stands with my mom or, being the ball boy on the sideline, I was there for every game. And to see all the years, that they've worked, and whether it's losing the state championship back-to-back years, getting to the semifinals a handful of years, just not quite getting it done. And for us to finally get it done and for it to be with me, it was pretty special.
Yeah, that Longview, it was forever and ever, and everyone else around him was winning state titles, and Lobos were knocking on the door. And for you guys to do that and run the table in 18, I was excited for everybody too. Paul?
Which fan base have you encountered that matches the energy of the Lobos fans? Because I don't know if there's a high school fan base that I've encountered.
You talking about like high school wise?
Anywhere.
Anywhere? I mean, most fan bases are good. And then the neat thing about nowadays is, with all the NILs and some of the signings that you get, you actually get to talk to fans and, get to know them and, what they believe in and, how long that they've been season ticket holders or whatever that is, but I'd say both places, I've been grateful to have really, really good fan bases. And the best thing about the place that I'm at right now is like I've seen it grow, because like y'all said earlier, at first, before I got here, they were struggling a little bit, but now we got everybody turned around. There's a lot of talk, a lot of excitement, so everybody's starting to show back up, and it's pretty amazing. And I mean, you could see like on national television, we got games like versus Georgia versus Miami, all the people traveling, stuff like that. And then, I mean, heck, you can go back in my career at A&M where the population of College Station probably doubles or triples on game day, So I've been blessed to have really good crowds and really good fans and fan bases. So it's really good.
So ACC football, obviously last year SMU, and you know them because that was right here in your home state, but also Clemson made the run, won the ACC title, and won the college football playoff for both of them. With Florida State has been down, not sure about who they are, but other teams are good too. What was it like last year? What do you expect this year?
We got a lot of really good teams in the ACC. They downplayed a little bit, which is, it's tough luck. But, we, like I said, from top down, we got really good teams in the ACC. And you can go into any game and never know what's going to happen. I mean, even with the game versus Miami, you'd say Georgia Tech, we're probably going to get dog walk. Miami's undefeated, stuff like that. And we walk in there and have a really, really good game. And then the next week, we play like NC State night game, last home game, and that comes down to the wire, and they miss a field goal. Like, we got, I believe, really, really, really good teams top down in our conference.
What was the trip to Dublin, Ireland like?
It was definitely an experience for sure, but, it was really fun, the exposure that you get, and just to see it in a different country on, the game of football itself, how much it's grown.
Yeah, I was really hoping you wouldn't ask him about that.
Yeah, Haynes, by the way, this is Smokey, Craig, and also Paul. Paul's an FSU grad. He's a grumpy guy these days.
Yeah,
it's been
no. Haynes was the first stop along the sadness mountain that we went on last year. But you have, I mean, the game of football has opened the door for a lot of great things for you. And now you get to go kind of, to be this counselor. How excited are you to also see the young quarterbacks that will be there like you were when you were in middle school?
Oh, it'll be really exciting, really fun just to see, I guess you'd say, like the cycle of life. With me getting older and now, I was the one looking up to these college counselors, to the Manning family, and all of that. Now, for me to be there, being an ambassador, a counselor, and coaching with them, and actually getting to learn from them is pretty exciting.
Haynes, you in this day and age of football, with NIL, the transfer portal, and of course conference realignment, it's affected the ACC too. But you did go in the portal. A&M ended up at Georgia Tech. What's some advice you would give to a player that might be thinking about that in the future?
I mean, I kind of hit on it earlier with what I said, and trying to find people and coaches that believe in the same thing and like-minded and wired the same way. Because if you do that, then obviously they're going to believe in you, and y'all are going to find ways to get it done. Instead of just with all this NIL going around, instead of just trying to find the biggest paycheck, this, that, like that team or offense or scheme or whatever might not actually fit you. But if you look inside of and peel that onion open, and actually find, like, if they're genuine, how genuine they are, and what they believe in and what they want to accomplish and stuff like that. Like, I'd say just the biggest deal is trying to surround yourself with like-minded people that are wired the same way and trying to get the job done.
How much were you driven when you did transfer to Georgia Tech to validate yourself, which you have done, no question about it, with the Yellow Jackets?
How driven was I?
Yep.
I mean, I think I was very driven. When I was at A&M my last year, I was replaced and then injured. Although I felt like I did it the right way. I graduated first, gave it 3-4 years. It ended up being 3 years because I graduated early, and then hit the portal after I graduated. But I was really driven to, I guess you'd say, prove all the haters wrong. That I was labeled as a bust by then, can't fix him, stuff like that. But just to turn it around and see that circle is it's an experience for sure, and it's a feeling that you're going to feel validation from, and it's just good.
All right, so Paul asked you earlier about playing quarterback when you can't barely raise your arm above your shoulder, and the toughness and grit, as you mentioned, we mentioned that you showed. What is it like for your body after or during some of that time? How long does it take the next week after a game for you to feel normal, or did you ever feel normal after the year started last year?
I mean, when you've played this long and you go through stuff like that, each week is pretty much, I guess you'd say, like the new norm.
Mm-hmm.
So you put your body through that, and whatever you're feeling this week, throughout the week, whether it's a little tweak or you're actually feeling good. Some weeks you feel really, really good. Some weeks you don't, stuff like that. But I guess you'd say your body and mind adapts to that, and it's like, okay, this is the new norm. This is what I know. These are the habits that I've done throughout the week. And, like I was saying earlier, the preparation and practice throughout the week is really, really important. It's probably the most important during the season.
Some of the guys in the chat room that are watching the show said a bunch of ice baths. Is that something you have to do? That's something you got used to? Or is that a part of your, I guess you could say, physical therapy after a game?
I didn't actually do a whole bunch of ice baths. We had the luxury of having what's called a hyperbaric chamber.
Mm-hmm.
Got in there a little bit, and that helped a lot. And it pretty much, uses pressurization with oxygen, and it does a lot, and it gets blood flowing, and it enhances, not really, it speeds up the process of healing, because you get new blood in that area. So that helps a lot. But the other thing is just moving. But like I said, I hadn't really used too much of a lot of ice baths and stuff like that.
The next time you talk to your father, what will be the discussion? Football or something completely different?
I'd say it'd probably be 50-50 about right now. might mention something about football. Probably ask how I'm feeling, and then move on to something else. But you know, since I've been here, I feel like he's done a really good job of transitioning from coach to dad, and supporting me and doing all that. And even when I was in high school, like I feel like we did a really good job of compartmentalizing. When we're in the facility, he's a coach, and when we're home, he's dad. So far, it's been so good.
He has told me many times, and his staff at Longview, and Haynes King with us, Georgia Tech quarterback. And Haynes, I know you got to go, but he has told me, and it says a lot about the staff he has at Longview, that he would be on a Friday night, coach a game, probably stay up for a while or whatever, watch film or whatever, and then turn around. He and your mom would either drive or somehow find an airport close by to find a way to go watch you play. And it wasn't always easy to get to. What did that mean to you?
It means a lot, just for them to go through all that. And I mean, heck, I've seen it happen, and what he has to go through even for his job, and just for him to, find ways to continue to show up and support and make games like that. And it means a lot for sure. And seeing them on the little Yellow Jacket walk and giving them hugs before games, it's enlightening. And it's just really good to see, heartwarming.
All right. Good luck. Have fun this weekend at the Manning Passing Academy. I'm glad you're able to be a part of that. You represent what they represent about as well as anybody else can. Appreciate what you've done, also what you're doing, and thank you for giving us time, because I know you got a busy schedule ahead of you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Haynes, somebody just asked, no matter what happens with your career, whatever is next for you, is coaching going to be something that's in your blood because of your father? And is that something that's on your mind?
Well, I mean, first off, I'm obviously trying to play as long as I can.
Sure.
But, I feel like coaching's in my blood, and football's in my blood. So, yes, that's a really big possibility that I'll be a coach. Don't know where, don't know what level, but that's a really big possibility.
Hey, man, thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Haynes King, Georgia Tech football coach, was at A&M, transferred to Georgia Tech, and a great high school quarterback. Had that game.